Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of Nerd Jersey. I am Nicole Herview,
I am Alex Bond,
and we are going to be discussing Man of Steel.
and hopefully this entry is like so many sequels aren't, and it's better than the original.
Yay! So obviously we're a little late on the boat, slightly.
But with, the new movie coming out, with all the leaks of Suicide Squad, with the what we assume to be the official synopsis of Batman vs. Superman coming out this week, It makes sense to, I guess, start the discussion now. So we might be late on the boat, but
I think it begs revisiting.
Yes,
as
absolutely.
a film. If you saw it once, you might be like me, and you really didn't want to see it again. It was kind of like, all right, I'm done now. Like, I saw it, it fell a little short of expectations, so,
and I think now is a good time to watch it again.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you know what's coming. I feel like when this movie came out, you weren't really sure what the plan was.
Yes, there wasn't a lot of world building. There was a shout out to LexCorp and to the Lex Luthor character, but there's no inkling that superheroes have existed.
Right.
So if it just stood as this, and then there was a Superman sequel, but it didn't do a DC cinematic universe, it would make sense.
Yeah.
It would stand.
Right.
They didn't go about this. Maybe they should have, because this is made in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, it was right after the Dark Knight universe ended.
That's right.
It was
that would make sense.
That ended, and then
Christopher Nolan's riding the high of, not
Kinda.
for him, obviously. His career's been
wonderful.
so good. But, so I guess there were plans to do it, but when they were making the movie, it wasn't like Warner Brothers said, all right, there needs to be a DC universe to compete here. We need something, some tentpole franchise.
Yeah.
So now, knowing what we do, let's just jump into it.
Yeah, let me start off with the good thing. Let's do a little pro-con thing going on here.
I'm into it.
The movie looks gorgeous.
It does. It's not broody. It's not dark and...
Yeah. It's not dark.
It does enough to establish a serious tone, but it's not all muddy and like...
I can see what's happening with this.
Yeah, everybody wants a gritty superhero movie. And I didn't get the sense that they were just going like, well, Dark Knight was dark and... No, it didn't lose the aspect of being something nice to look at, which is
right.
good.
It was gritty, but it wasn't like over the top. It wasn't, your big blue Boy Scout movie like we've seen in the past.
Right. It wasn't terribly campy. There's some moments, but
there's moments.
There's definitely moments. I do like that we start on Krypton, and I do like that we've done some world building. I like that they've given us a sense of what Krypton is, the creatures that are there. I did not like that they were kind of Avatar-esque in that he's got a giant dragonfly that he rides on.
Right.
That seemed a bit silly to me. It kind of took me out of it, and all I could think was, well, this is like Avatar.
Right.
But, everything else looked great.
Yeah, I think it was obvious that Krypton was nothing really like Earth, and I think it established that if the Kryptonians wanted to live on Earth, that would require some serious work on the planet.
Right. And there was some foreshadowing of that with Jor-El explaining the scouting ships, that they went to these different planets and these moons and they tried to terraform.
Right, which is why there's a dead person in that.
Correct.
Basically in the Fortress of Solitude.
Starts to make sense.
Right.
And I like how they explore the origins of the Kryptonians and how there's a codex and there's, they're all from the same DNA and there's this skull that could be a, one common ancestor that everything comes from.
Right.
And then, in exploring that, you kind of get into what makes Superman an alien.
Yeah.
And how Jor-El is going to be one side of the equation as a father figure, and then Jonathan Kent will be kind of another. So you have Jor-El saying that we have this boy. He's the first biologically, naturally born Kryptonian in a million years or whatever it was, and we will send him away from here, and he will be a hero.
Right.
And then you have Jonathan Kent being the realistic side of the equation of how are people going to react when they find out we're not alone.
And I think that's actually started in the very beginning between Lara and Jor-El.
Yes.
When she says they'll kill him, and then Jor-El says, how he'll be a god to them. It's right off the bat, there's that dichotomy of how are people going to react to him.
Yes.
And it's two extremes. And I think that's going to carry throughout these movies, because I was just recently reading The Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller's original amazing piece, and how it shows the two sides of when Batman comes back, how people react to him. And I think that mirrors that very well. And I don't think they're going to talk about that in Batman v Superman about Batman. I think they're taking that issue and pushing it onto Superman.
Yes, that's what I find really interesting about it, is that Superman comes in to keep Batman in check in the comic.
Yeah.
And now Batman's going to be coming in to keep Superman in check.
Which I like. I think it's a very clear callback to the Frank Miller era of books.
Right.
And then kind of still keeping it new, because we've never seen Batman be that force, be that corrective.
Well, first of all, we've never
force.
seen them on camera together.
Exactly, and that's going to be insane.
So it's familiar to some comic fans, but those who are fans of the comic won't be thinking, oh, they're just doing this again. Mm-hmm. Oh, I've already read this book, or oh, I've seen the animated version.
Yeah.
It's new, but it's familiar. It's
correct.
It kind of straddles the line really well. So I like that. Let's talk about, what we know about the plot to come.
Right.
Because that's going to be important in a lot of the themes they visit in Man of Steel, which the first time I watched it, I didn't really pick up on.
Yeah.
I felt like they didn't explore the consequences of this guy coming to the planet. Obviously, they will now, but knowing that they do, this is what we got from Collider, and they said it's not official release from Warner Brothers, but they were provided with what seems to be the first synopsis. And it follows: fearing the actions of a godlike superhero left unchecked, Gotham City's own formidable, forceful vigilante takes on Metropolis's most revered modern-day savior, while the world wrestles with what sort of hero it really needs. And with Batman and Superman at war with one another, a new threat quickly arises, putting mankind in greater danger than it's ever known before.
Definitely interesting. Definitely sounds like they're going to be against each other, Act 1, 2, and then have to come together in Act 3, which would lead to Justice League.
Correct.
Which I love.
That's the only way it can go down.
Yeah.
You can't have these guys fighting through all three acts, have them shake hands at the end, and then the next time we see them is
they're in Justice League together. Yes.
There needs to be a sense of camaraderie. Exactly. Not just respect, but they need to be drawn together for some reason.
Absolutely. And I think you said this to me before. I agree. I don't think that force is necessarily going to be Lex Luthor yet. I think Lex Luthor might be something that the Justice League deals with.
He'll be an overarching villain for sure, and he will be a substantial part of this movie, I think. But this world-changing, endangering villain, I don't know who it's going to be.
Is there a chance it's the Joker? Could they be setting up the Suicide Squad?
I don't think.
Because, we've seen that the Suicide Squad, I think, starts with that scene of Batman chasing the Joker and Harley Quinn, but this seems to be later.
Yeah, I don't think that is your world-endangering villain, because the Joker's never really...
not world...
Yeah, he's not bent on world domination.
Yeah, that was just a thought that popped into the head.
It's going to be... it's not going to be Darkseid. It's not going to be, like the Apocalypse storyline.
I just want it to be Mr. McSpitlick. That'd be so bad. Jokes on jokes on jokes. I'm not sure who they're plugging there. I really don't know.
We'll find out.
But I don't think it's Lex Luthor yet.
That's a good tease. It's a really good tease.
It is a good tease. It's given me a lot. It's going to give us a lot to think about. Mm-hmm. Everyone a lot to think about throughout the leading up to this film. And obviously we're seeing a lot more Suicide Squad than this movie, which I'm not sure if it's meant to be a distraction or not, but we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about that in another cast.
Yeah, I think that's just a quick sequence of events.
Yeah.
Now, with Zod, you've got your world-endangering villain.
Yeah,
and he always has been. He is, an emotional foil to Superman, but, as their fight goes on in the third act, they are similarly abled.
Right.
Zod's got the military training. Superman. Superman's a terrible fighter.
Yeah, he
First
really
of all
sucks.
he is punchy. You look at at Feora, and she's quickly engaging multiple targets, and she's quickly running between them. And,
She's a badass.
Yes, Superman's just kind of flying around throwing punches with force behind them. That's really all he can do.
Yeah.
And he's Superman. He can get away with it, but he is
He can get away with it on
fighter.
Earth. He can get away with it here, dealing with humans, and maybe even dealing with like mutations of humans on this planet.
Yeah.
I think dealing with other Kryptonians, as we discussed, he's crap. Like, there's a reason
So
they can throw him all over the place.
Yeah.
And like we were saying before, the science of why Superman is so tough, and like the dude in the beginning like throws a punch and it bounces off of him. Like, literally, like he's made of steel.
Yes.
So if that's what Earth's yellow sun does to Kryptonians, then you said shouldn't.
Their fight should be more balanced.
Exactly.
Him throwing punches at Feora, at Zod, should look more like a standard fist fight, like you see it. Daredevil, for example.
Right.
Because Daredevil is just a man against a man.
Right.
And that's kind of how I thought that fight should look. But Feora lands a punch on him and he flies across the room.
Across the place.
But he gets up without a mark on it.
Right.
It's weird to see, to figure out where the momentum comes in, but...
Right. And I would counter that that's because they're military trained and
Yeah.
he's not.
I'm willing to
So,
forgive it.
Yeah, they would be able to throw him around on Krypton, so they
100%, yeah.
would be able to throw him around on Earth.
Fair enough.
So that's where I would go with that. But I wanted to quickly cover the ladies in this film and
Okay.
what the portrayal of the ladies means for Wonder Woman. Not just for the sake of it, but what I can pick up, what we will get out of the Wonder Woman film, which I'm so excited she's going to get a film.
Yeah.
Like, God save the Queen. Like,
And it seems like it's going to be very character driven, and they're going to
Yes.
develop her, and it's not just going to be, all right, well, here's another superhero movie where things blow up.
exactly. And this is what I have to say about that. The Kryptonian ladies, all of them, literally, Lara, all of them, have some sass and some power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to not see a resemblance between Wonder Woman and Lara. The dark hair and you know what I mean? Like, it's the first thing I thought of. But that's just, whatever. That doesn't matter. But it makes me very optimistic about Wonder Woman. Seeing these ladies, all of them have some sort of agency. Like, every character in this movie is shallow, and I want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
There's no depth to anyone. But
everybody serves a purpose.
correct. And
And
everyone has...
they all serve their own their own ideals. They don't
Right.
stand for anybody else. I mean, Lara makes the very conscious decision to defy Zod and send the ship off.
Oh, yeah.
And she's very active in every conversation.
Completely. She has agency, is
Yes.
what I want to say.
And right off the bat, not even just Kryptonian. I loved Lois Lane in this movie.
Yes, I definitely want to talk about
She
her,
is
too.
no bullshit. She's assertive. She has a purpose. Mm-hmm. She's a good journalist.
Yeah.
And she's good at her job. She knows what she's after. She doesn't let anybody talk her down from that.
No. And I love that. I wrote it down. Lois's take no shit attitude is lovely. And I love her. But what I don't like, and this is across the board, but I don't like that the only thing I know about her is that she's a great journalist. That's wonderful. I love knowing that. I love how much you're showing me that, and that's her use and everything in the film. I love that is who she is, and it's strong, and it's right in your face, and you can't deny that she's brilliant.
But it also plays into her resourcefulness.
Absolutely.
Look at how
Yeah.
she then uses what she's learned from Jor-El's hologram
Yeah, completely.
to actually save the world.
Yeah, and that's, I'm not
She's just
trying to
resourceful,
dismiss
yeah. Oh, yeah.
that in any way. What I'm just saying is, throughout these next films, I would like her and everyone else to serve more than a one-dimensional purpose.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
But I'm a character-driven kind of person. I love a movie with characters. I think that's why I love the Marvel universe and the Dark Knight trilogy, because there's depth to these characters. I feel like every character in this film,
which there's a lot.
yeah,
That is kind of the problem.
absolutely, they have way too many people
Named characters
that they're trying to dive into.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just end up not giving a crap about any of them, including Superman. Like, I want to love him, I really do, but all you show me in those flashbacks is that he's a hero. And you're giving
Everything's
me...
torment.
Yeah, and you're giving me callbacks to Smallville, which is fine. I love me some Smallville. But, like, making him look exactly like Tom Welling in the one scene with when Kevin Costner goes up in the tornado.
Yes.
Making him look exactly like Tom Welling, I loved it, and it felt like fan service, but you're just giving me Smallville flashbacks.
Yeah,
And his death is slightly different in Smallville, if I recall. I don't think I got that far in Smallville. I think I fell off. But I knew he died.
The history of casting Superman has been kind of interesting to me in that Christopher Reeve, and then in Superman Returns, it's Brandon Routh.
Mm-hmm.
They do kind of look... They've got similar features.
Well, he's got to look like Superman.
Yeah.
You know?
And then, so it seems like there's definitely a certain look they're going for.
Definitely.
Which is interesting, because I feel like we haven't really had that in other superhero portrayals, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it takes away or gives anything to the character.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a weird parallel.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to him looking like Tom Welling. I'm sure you're not either.
Oh, no. Well, I enjoyed it immensely. I'm not, like, it gave me such flashbacks, and I can't decide whether I love that, whether it was intentional or not, or whatever, or that's just my one exposure really to Superman.
Yeah.
I used to watch the cartoon when I was a kid. I never read a Superman book in my life. That's going to make me sound like an idiot. I don't care. I'm not crazy about Superman.
Yeah, he's never really been
love him.
Like an interesting character for me to dive into.
Because he's the big blue Boy Scout. Like,
Right.
This movie makes him more interesting. I like like I said to you, I like the lumberjacky looking Superman, which is why when he comes out of that like Fortress of Solitude all clean shaven, it's like, when did that happen?
Yeah, where was the razor? Where was the hair product? What the
When
hell?
did he get a stylist?
But I did like Henry Cavill as Superman and as Clark Kent.
Absolutely.
And they are kind of the same character until the very end, which is another interesting thing. I like how this plot doesn't follow the same beats as a typical origin story.
Right.
Which makes sense because he's an alien trying to find his destiny. This whole movie, he leaves town to find out more about himself. Mm-hmm. He gets the suit. Yeah. He comes back, and right away there's Zod.
Yeah.
And now he's got to don the suit, and he has to fight for his planet. What's now his planet.
Yeah.
Whereas so many origins have been, you get the character, then they get these powers.
Yep.
Then they fight some street crime.
Yeah.
They get the suit.
It elevates.
And then there's the villain showdown.
Right.
And this, with Superman, I guess it's good that they didn't do that because he's not like a standard hero, obviously.
He's not.
He's
the
Superman.
standard, but he's not a standard.
Right. He has everything.
If that made any sense whatsoever. Like, he's kind of the first one you think of when you think superhero. Like, him and Batman... And I would venture to say Spider-Man as well. These are characters that you don't have to be like a comic book nerd, and you don't. This is not Guardians of the Galaxy.
They're
people.
the A-listers.
These are people like you see celebrities with like when I was a kid, I loved NSYNC.
Of course you did.
You remember that?
Of course
and
you did.
Joey from NSYNC had a Superman tattoo, and I thought that was the coolest thing. But he's not like a comic book geek. He's not one of us. But he loves Superman, like, more than he should.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? And
first rate.
that's always been
Yes.
People who don't love superheroes love Superman.
Because he's easy to get into because he's kind of classically over the 80 years of Superman existing, 70 or 80, probably 1940. He's been just kind of easy to understand. He hasn't been a very deep character.
Right.
He's always stood for good. He's always had the power to take down evil.
Yep.
And the stakes never really been that high.
Yep.
Now they try and, tie that into something that, all right, the stakes are high because here's another Kryptonian coming to destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But and back just into Clark Kent himself. The first thing we see of him on the boat, someone, we'll say, saves him.
Yeah.
Obviously, no one knows he has superpowers.
Yeah.
But there's that cage about to drop on him, and somebody tackles him out of the way. I found that funny.
I
But
like
the
that.
first thing that happens is he gets saved.
That's true. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
But what would have happened if that cage hit him would have been interesting.
It's
It
not
was a
important
bench.
because he dives off the boat and saves a whole oil
That's
rig crew.
absolutely true. So he
by
reveals
holding up a-
himself
yes.
anyway.
But then he
But-
goes on to the next big moment of his
Yeah,
life.
but you're right. That is funny.
And then we get
didn't
then
even
we
catch
get
that.
then we get the flashback of
Yep.
him as a child, and I still don't think that Hollywood screenwriters understand children because we have him in the
Oh,
script.
this is a great point. Yeah.
He's obviously his powers are manifesting. He doesn't really know how to deal with it, and that's great. But the first thing he says to his mom when he's locked in the closet is, "The world's too big, Mom," and no child
no child says
talks
that.
like it's.
I get he's an alien, but still.
And then he
he's-
comes out and he hugs his mom and he says, "What's wrong with me?" That is really what the first thing that should have been said was.
Mom, what's wrong with me?
Mom, what's wrong with
you
me?
You know, like my head hurts or something like a kid would say.
Yeah, and it didn't
Give
have to
me
be in
something.
front of all those people.
Yeah.
But they're trying to slap us in the face with this idea that he's tormented, he's been bullied.
Yeah.
The kids know he's
Different.
a freak, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a problem I have with this movie is that they show you and then they tell you.
Yeah, which just drives me insane.
It's one of those kind of undermining and underestimating movies that assumes
We're
the
stupid.
audience is dumb.
Yeah, I hate that.
So that I had kind of a problem with. And there's suspension of disbelief, and then there's, oh, he's in all these moments where he can save lives, and oh, he's in the bus that goes into the river and he saves everybody. The
Yeah.
odds of that seem a little,
But it's also, what I got is he got mad. Now, correct me if you think I'm wrong. He got mad that the kid Pete was like picking on him, and he blew the tire on the bus. That's what I think. It's not like, oh, the tire just blew, because the timing is
Isn't-
too
yes.
connected to me. And you're right. This movie, I feel like, would tell you directly that that's what happened.
And-
But to me, as like someone who looks into every moment and every connection between scenes and every connection between lines, that seemed to me like he was, and it's shown that he has a temper when he like takes that trucker's truck and like throws all the,
all the light posts through the power lines,
through his truck because he, wouldn't stop being a dick.
At that point, he's found a channel for it.
Exactly. I feel like that's the beginning, is he blows the tire on the bus, so now he's like, oh my god, I might have just killed all these people. I don't know if that's correct or not,
Maybe.
but to me that's what
It is an interesting
looked
thought.
like. It looked
There is-
like the intention was to show that. But I'm
There's
not sure.
also the moment after that when, they're all trying to get him to fight the kid in the varsity jacket.
Yep.
And he tells his dad, I wanted to fight him, I wanted to hit him.
I like them.
And I loved what Jonathan said after that, where, he says, you have to decide what kind of man you want to be, because whether it's good or bad, you're going to change the world.
Yeah.
And and that plays into this whole idea of what does Superman stand for, and what are people going to think of him. People are afraid of what they don't understand. That's something else that they keep explaining. That Jonathan says that the military seems to evoke that we're not sure what his destiny is and what he stands for.
Right. It's always the will he, won't he.
Right.
Or more, will they, won't they. Will they hate him? Will they reject him? Or will they be like, he's the hero we need, or whatever.
And in a movie
he's
where
the
there's
hero we deserve and not the one we need right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
and there's so much clunky exposition.
Yeah.
And, I feel like they appropriately visited that idea that there's consequence for these actions and
Yeah.
that people might not understand. And there's other times where I'm like, why do you need to tell us that she won a Pulitzer Prize? Why
Yeah.
do you need Zod to explain that he's going to bring back Krypton on Earth, then have him land the World Builder on the planet,
Yep.
and have the military then go through the whole thing again
Yeah,
and
it's
say,
a
oh my
lot.
God, he's changing the whole planet.
terraforming.
Yeah, but they keep revisiting
They
it.
recycle.
I already know what's happening. Zod's shown us. Don't show us, then tell us.
Yeah, I don't appreciate that.
But-
And I think last point I think we need to cover is this huge. There's two things that have always been canon for me for Superman, and even someone who doesn't love Superman. One, he doesn't kill people, and two, Lois Lane doesn't know he's Clark Kent. I love that Lois Lane does know he's Clark Kent.
I'm so on board with that.
I love it because she's smart. She's gonna figure, even if she didn't know it immediately, she's gonna figure that out. Thank you for sparing.
Well, she does in
me.
the original Christopher Reeve series too. In the second one,
Well, yeah, but right away she talked to Superman.
Yes.
She's gonna look him in the eyes and be like, "You're Superman. Done. It's over." I like that we don't have to deal with that. Thank you, Jesus. Two, Superman doesn't kill people, and
He
the
did
fact that he kills Zod, people lost their mind.
Yes.
I don't mind it at all. Go ahead, Bond.
he did everything he could to not kill Zod.
Yes.
And he's holding him, trying to stop him from killing these people, and he's saying, "Don't do this." And he's not saying, "Don't kill these people." I think he's saying, "Don't make me kill you." He
Yeah.
doesn't want to because he doesn't know what that's going to lead to.
Right.
He's been so afraid, and Jonathan Kent has ingrained this fear in him that people are going to be afraid of him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to kill,
Yep.
but Zod forces his hand. And
Absolutely.
it's actually a really wonderful sequence when he snaps his neck and he just stands there and screams.
He screams. I
Because
love
he
the
can't
scream.
process it.
He can't.
And that's going to be the catalyst for, well, I don't kill people.
Yeah, I think it's
Like, I dip my toes in it, but that life's not for me.
that's not my way.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like that it's not, I'm going to say it again, it's not the big blue Boy Scout thing that he's like, I don't kill people. It's wrong. It's like,
But he is super
I
American.
did it, and no. Like, never again. Like, that screwed
Right.
me up so much, no.
It was a really good dramatic moment for this
I liked
new
it.
Superman.
And
that's-
it's unexpected.
Yes.
Because he's never, I don't think he's ever killed before. Like, I could
No,
be
he was
wrong.
never in a position to. At least
Exactly.
from what we're shown.
Yeah.
And this is a new Superman. Everyone's going to go in there with their preconceived notions,
Right.
obviously. So they think he doesn't kill people, which is
Yeah.
why you're right. That does hold some shock value.
Yeah, which I think he needed. I mean, the last Superman movie we had was Superman Returns.
Well,
with
anyway,
Brandon
thanks for
Routh.
sticking around.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it.
We're not going to talk about that, but I just told the story. I watched it for like the third or fourth time years later. As a kid, I liked that movie because it's the only modern Superman movie I really had, and I loved Smallville, so I liked it.
So you watched it again.
So I watched it again years later, probably like 2 years ago, and I popped it out of the DVD player, and when it ended, I got in my car and I sold it to our local video store. I couldn't deal with it being in my house, so I just didn't really want to give Man of Steel like a shot.
I'm glad we
But
watched it for a second time.
I'm glad I watched it again.
We've kind of digested and redigested.
Because I now, and knowing what's coming, I think it serves as a prequel. It does, and I don't think I ever watched it as this is going to lead to something else.
Right.
I watched it as a standalone movie, and I think that's the mistake. So if you've done that, I suggest you go back and watch it because there's some interesting stuff.
There's a
in there
lot
that's
of characters.
Yeah, it's
But
a lot.
now we know these characters, which is
Yeah.
good. We've gotten the introduction, and yeah, we've seen that they have this one-dimensional personality, and now we can expand on it.
Right.
Except
Cool.
for Zod. I liked Zod.
We're not
I
going to
know.
go there. We're not going to go there. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.
Well, what's your verdict?
My verdict
Let's talk
on
about
what?
that. Do you like it?
Do I like the movie?
Do you like the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not great.
It's not
I'm
great.
not losing my mind,
But
but it's good.
and I agree, and I think it's better the second time around. I like Zod. I like Michael Shannon and anything, but I like Zod.
I like Zod as a villain.
He had some
'cause
depth.
I hated him.
Yes.
So it worked.
And there's some to be said about his character. I like
Yeah.
how he world built.
Definitely.
I like that we can now kind of understand Superman, and we got Clark Kent Superman, and now we can go into this world where there's Clark Kent and there's Superman.
Yeah.
So it does.
Yeah.
It's a good setup.
I'm looking forward to them delving deeper into these characters.
Yes.
I'll say it again. That's my biggest problem with this movie is the shallowness of the characters. But I think that can be fixed.
Right.
I think
It can very easily.
we can, if you pick a couple and delve deep, I'll be cool.
And I'm sure they will. We're not
I know,
going to
yeah.
get the whole Daily Planet
Right.
staff.
Please, God, no.
We did spend a lot of time on them.
Yeah.
Thank God they graduated from the Prometheus school of running away from falling objects.
Yes.
Because they went away from it and not with the falling objects.
Yeah, thank you.
I know.
My God.
At least there's that.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking around listening to Nerd Jersey. I'm Nicole Herview.
I am Alex Bombs.
Reminding you always to wear your nerd jersey with pride.